What up, Blockchain Nation? What up, YouTube? Thank you for taking time to watch this. Let's get into this. If you want to learn more about DogeCoin and you're curious about it, how is it similar to other cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and what's it all about? Well, hopefully you've come to the right place, and I'm going to try and answer some of your questions. So, if you just check out DogeCoin on the internet, a whole bunch of stuff appears. You see the DogeCoin master of all times, Mr. Elon himself. So really, what is DogeCoin? So DogeCoin. Anyways, so crypto landscape was very, very different back in 2013. So an Adobe engineer by the name of Jackson Palmer was watching with amusement or bemusement. He liked the idea of Bitcoin, but pretty much he started as a joke. So himself and another engineer by the name of Billy Marcus from IBM came up with the idea of Doge, and then started in 2013. Even though both men had aimed to make it as ridiculous as possible, with features such as circulating supply of 100 billion tokens, investors flocked to the joke coin, and within 2 weeks, Dogecoin's price had tripled. The following month, a loyal band of Doge holders donated 30,000 to the Jamaican bobsled team. So this started as a joke, but ended up being a very expensive joke. Let's see how expensive. As of the time I'm recording this, it is number 16 on Coin Market Cap. It's priced to less than $1, but nevertheless, it has a market cap of $7.4 billion. That is a lot of money. And there are over 120 billion coins in circulation. That is very, 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 very impressive. So really, what is Dogecoin and where did it come from? Well, it's actually a fork of a fork of a fork of Bitcoin. Yep. So Dogecoin came from Lucky Coin, which is a fork of Litecoin, which is a fork of Bitcoin. I know. So what does that mean? If you go to GitHub, this is the actual source code of Bitcoin. As you can see, it's written in C++. Loads of developers are contributing to the source code. And then from Bitcoin, we have had Litecoin. So Litecoin, as you can see, is forked from Bitcoin. It's also in C++ as well. A smaller community of developers. This is Charlie Lee, the founder of Litecoin. And from Litecoin, we had Lucky Coin. And then finally, we had DogeCoin. As you can see, it's also C++. The small amount of developers, but interestingly enough, it's gaining mass, well, it's early to say mass adoption, but it's really popular now. So that's one of the first similarities of Dogecoin and Bitcoin, is that they're from the same source code, pretty much. Well, so there are some alterations, obviously, to the code, like the consensus algorithm and other things, which we'll get into, but pretty much, well, the same consensus algorithm, but the number of coins in circulation, the time it takes to validate blocks, and a whole bunch of other things that we'll eventually get into. So that's the first similarity, is the code in some ways. Second is they both have the same consensus algorithms. Other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum uses a consensus algorithm called, well, it started with proof of work, but who knows when you'll be watching this, probably Ethereum is moving to something called the proof of stake. So what does all this mean? Because all these coins are on a network that is decentralized, it needs a mechanism for everyone to know what the state of the network is, to agree on the number of transactions, or the current block, or the fork, or the network that is the current state of the network, in summary. And in order to know that, for a decentralized network, everybody has to have a way of coming into agreement or in consensus. And for that, different currencies or different coins use different consensus algorithms, but both Bitcoin and Dogecoin use a proof of work consensus algorithm. I've done some videos on that. I'll put a link below, and that's another way that they are similar. How are they different? Well, a couple of differences. The first is in the block time. So Bitcoin, it takes 10 minutes for Bitcoin to validate transactions. As a Dogecoin it happens every 1 minute. It takes a minute for a Dogecoin network to validate transactions. That's one major difference. Second is the maximum supply. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins in circulations. That is the cap of the number of Bitcoins that can be issued. But with Dogecoin, I don't believe that there is a cap in terms of number of coins. I believe, you see, here we go, maximum supply is 0. It's infinite. It's to infinity and beyond. There will never be a cap on the number of coins that Dogecoins that can be issued, which is very interesting. Now, the cost of usage, Bitcoin arguably is very expensive. So in 2017, whenever Bitcoin is at a peak and there are loads of transactions in the network, it's more expensive in order for you to have your coins or your transactions, included as part of a block on the Bitcoin network. You have to pay the fees on the network becomes more expensive. So, but with DogeCoin, that's not the case. So you can say it's cheaper to do transactions on the DogeCoin network. The fourth difference is that the block reward. So the way the Bitcoin network works is that there's a mechanism to incentivize miners to produce blocks. So that's a very, very important feature of Bitcoin. And so with Bitcoin, every 4 years, the block reward, which is the number of Bitcoins that are issued whenever a miner mines new coins, it cuts in half every 4 years. As of the time we're watching this video, it's 6.25 Bitcoins is the reward for the miner. So Bitcoin currently, it's about $56,000. So 56 times 6.25 is what the block reward is for Bitcoin. But for Dogecoin, the number of coins doesn't have every 4 years. No, actually increases in terms of number of Dogecoins that are in circulation, which means that every 1 minute you have about 10,000 Dogecoins issued. That's why you have a value of coins that are just about 128 billion coins in circulation, which is a lot of coins. Lastly, Bitcoin is deflationary in nature, which means that the number of coins that are being issued, like I said, reduces every 4 years. And so the economics is demand and supply. When you have a huge demand for something and there's a limited supply, the price goes up, which is what explains why the Bitcoin price keeps on going up. But with Dogecoin, it's kind of inflationary in nature because there's so many coins being issued. And the question is, there are people who are actually reaching out and buying these coins. So arguably, it's inflationary in nature. So before I go into other things, I would say this: I personally don't own any Dogecoin, but if you want to buy, you can buy. I don't give financial advice. But if you need to buy, it's available here on Kraken, on Binance, and a host of other cryptocurrency exchanges. But these are the big ones. So these coin exchanges that you can take a look at. And once again, I don't give financial advice. Please don't invest more than you're willing to lose. So what does Dogecoin need to have mass adoption? First of all, the Dogecoin master himself is Mr. Elon Musk, who tweets about Dogecoin. Anytime he tweets about it, the price goes up. I saw here Elon Musk tweeted about Dogecoin. He saw 20%. This is a report by CNN somewhere in December 2020. But so for every cryptocurrency, so people will argue and say, hey, so Bitcoin or Dogecoin is a fork of one coin, or is a fork of something, which was a fork of something. What's stopping me from creating our own coin? Going to the Bitcoin core and saying, okay, I'm just going to make a fork of this coin and call it Remy coin. Well, there are a lot of network effects that determine how a coin will do. First is you need to have developers who are working on the actual core application. You need to have miners who will mine the coin. You need to have users who will use the coin. Need to have exchanges that would list the coin. You need to have other apps that will integrate on their platforms, like with Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently has what is the name of this company? BitPay, that helps merchants to accept Bitcoin. So you need to have all these network effects on top of whatever coin is issued. Now with Dogecoin, there's a huge community that's coming out there. Yeah, there are very few developers. There are not that many users, but I believe that if these layers can increase, I'm not saying it will, I'm not saying it won't, but how will it be adopted or gain mass adoption, in my opinion, is if all these network effects come together. Yes, it's inflationary, but what really is money? Money is a couple of things. Money is divisible, money is fungible, money has to be a unit of account, a medium of exchange. And most important attribute of money, must be a store of value. It must be able to retain its value over a long period of time. Now, arguably, there are other currencies out there like fiat currencies like the dollar, the pound, which has been decreasing in value for the past 50, 100 years. So people can argue and say, well, in comparison to fiat currencies, a coin like Dogecoin might appreciate over time. That's something to argue or to debate. But what would eventually allow or make Dogecoin have mass adoption is having a huge, all these network effects coming into play, where you now have more coins or more crypto exchanges that are listing the coin. For example, I saw this tweet where it says, where was that? Where is the tweet? Where it says billionaire Elon Musk is mentioning that Coinbase should begin to trade DogeCoin. So if more exchanges, apart from Kraken and Binance, start to list the coin, if you now have more layers, more network effects, more applications that are built on top of it, then who knows what will happen. There's a possibility, like I said, I don't give investment advice, that who knows, it might eventually become $1. Now let's say it does, and it's a fraction of $1 now. And so I know people who have made a lot of money from this. Now, I personally haven't invested in this. I don't know what will happen in the future. But if these things happen, then it's very possible that you might make a lot of money investing in Dogecoin. But if these things don't happen, you can also lose a lot of money. So I would say this: if you're just getting involved in crypto, general investment advice is do not invest more money than you're willing to lose. You just want to invest a smaller fraction, probably what you used to buy a cup of coffee or buy, I don't know, your Starbucks latte. If you want to give that up for an afternoon, then you can invest in this and just play around with it and see how it works, just to kind of welcome yourself to the crypto environment. It's interesting that this coin has come this far. It's just interesting how what started out as a joke has become a very, very expensive joke. And if this coin has mass adoption, if it eventually gets to $1, then it's going to make a lot of people very, very wealthy. But at the same time, if people invest more than they should invest, or more money than they are willing to lose, then it could actually go to zero. So I think it's an interesting project. I'm personally going to be watching it and seeing. I haven't invested in it myself personally. It's just fascinating how much has happened in this space. So I just thought to do a video about this, just to enlighten the differences and similarities between Dogecoin and between Bitcoin. At its core, it's somewhat similar, except the fact that it does more transactions per second. The fact that it's a fork of Bitcoin, and some other differences which you've already highlighted. But in all of this, what will make it different is if the masses pick it up. You know, people have this thing about the underdog. People, like when you watch a football match or you watch a wrestling match or whatever, people like to cheer the underdog. So maybe because Dogecoin is the underdog, it's the coin that people just figured started as a joke. That in itself is what kind of the attractive feature about it. So it's interesting to see how it's going to play out. And please do not invest more money than you're willing to lose. So, well, that's all I have. So until next time, my wish for you is that you learn more about cryptocurrencies, because crypto is changing and will change the world, especially this blockchain, distributed ledger technology space. And it's my personal opinion that those who get involved early will greatly impact the future. And if that's you, let's go change the world.